Hello, 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 hello.
Hello there, Teacherpreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us this Friday night for us.
I love it. Friday evening vibes.
Yes, exactly. It's a full-on party here. We're live on StreamYard on our YouTube channel. We're live on Xiaohanshu for Teachers, and I'm currently streaming on my Instagram. So we are live worldwide, baby.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's like that Pitbull song from like circa 2010.
All I know about his songs is he says "dale," and I
Dale, I love it.
okay.
Welcome everyone in the comments and joining us. Hi Nancy, hi Joa. I love to see familiar
Yes.
faces. Thank you, Nancy. It was my birthday yesterday. So I I was partying. No, I'm kidding. It was Thursday. I was just celebrating having good food, yummy cake, and just being with loved ones. So it's been
Perfect.
really awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. Happy birthday to Coach Chris. We love him
Yeah.
so much. We wouldn't be here without him. So, feliz cumpleaños.
Oh,
As they
gracias. So, Coach Kinga, we have a jam-packed masterclass today. Is that correct?
It is. It is super, super jam-packed. Coach Chris and I were just putting on the final touches on everything, making sure that we can fill in all the blanks, serve all the value. Of course, we're going to be talking about how our teacher client landed their first student on Xiaohanshu, all the steps they took to get there. And we're so ready to really dive into this deeply so that you can walk away with those steps today and hopefully start implementing them in your own teaching biz. So super exciting.
Absolutely. And before we quickly introduce ourselves, I know some of you already know who we are, but we would love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name and where you're joining us from. And Coach Kinga, anything else they need to add?
Yeah, guys, let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know right now. What I would really love to know about you is if you are a platform teacher, give us a 1. If you are currently an independent teacherpreneur, give us a 2. And if you are hybrid, doing both at the same time, give us a 3. So drop that in the chat, 1, 2, 3. We'd love to know where you are at in your teacherpreneur journey. And yes, so let's see those numbers.
Awesome, awesome. Meanwhile, let's introduce ourselves really quick. So I'll begin if that's okay with you, Coach Kinga.
Yes, please do.
Awesome. So I'm Chris, or Coach Chris, and I'm the co-founder of Create and Funnel. And I've been teaching online for about 6 years now, I believe so. And I've been teaching independently as a teacher entrepreneur for about 2 years. And I've been, and Create and Funnel has been around for about a year. So that's a little bit about my background. And I was able to shift to independent teaching right after the whole debacle happened in China. And through the tools and strategies and steps that we're going to discuss today, I was actually able to grow my student base to what it is today and really experience the freedom that I always wanted, that I always sought for in my career and my professional realm environment. And it was actually with the help and accountability and support of Coach Kinga that was possible. So I'm also grateful to have her on my side and keep building this amazing project that we have going on. What about you, Coach Kinga?
Yeah, very much the same. And you know what, Coach Chris, that made me think about something that I really want to reiterate, because I was surprised recently that a lot of people in our community don't realize that we are still online teachers, guys. We are full-time independent entrepreneurs. We are in the trenches with you guys, and we are still teaching. So
I'll show you my Calendly. Like it's
It's nuts. Yeah, we are literally, teaching, side hustling, all the things, but we are
Like,
still online teachers, right?
literally, like just today, I had 5 lessons back to back. In between my 5-minute breaks, I'm like, Kinga, da, 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 we have to do this and that. And
Exactly.
then setting up an email, setting up a reminder email, then we touching and base with our community. It's a lot. Doctors, and then you have your personal life, right? So
Personal
yeah, we're
life,
in the trenches
exactly.
with you, y'all.
We
This
are.
is
We
real.
are indeed. So we know those struggles really well. Like Coach Chris, I was a platform teacher, although I didn't come from the VIP kid background. So that made my story a little bit more unique. Um, I was starting from a lower level company from a second tier city, actually. And whereas a lot of VIP Kid teachers were transitioning into independent teaching with WeChat contacts in place, for me, I had zero contacts to go off of. So when I discovered Xiaohongshu, I really used it to build my independent student base starting from zero. And it took a lot of work. Um, I was even talking about this with a teacher today that, when you get those first leads and there's pushback on your prices, that's normal. I face that. And actually, I'm really excited for this masterclass because, like I said, I still have my teaching biz. Today, I learned that another student during the summer holiday is not renewing their package. So it looks like I have to go back and ramp up my marketing strategy and possibly implement some of these steps with you today. So I'm really excited that we can embark on this journey together and keep each other accountable.
Yes, so let's tune in on the comments. I'm saying twos and threes. I'm going to go with threes, threes for the win. So a hybrid between, let me bring up the slide, a hybrid between platform teaching and independent teaching. Awesome, awesome. And then we have Lisel, I hope I said that right, Lisel Cruz. I'm a brick and mortar teacher in Albania seeking to start
Wow,
teaching online and freeing up my
love it.
schedule. Yes, yes, absolutely. We're also in our community we have brick and mortar teachers that are trying to transition into online, um, because I just feel like there's a freedom to that. Like you said, Lisa, about freeing up your schedule, reclaiming some
Mhm.
of your time, like just like transitioning to online, like you take away commuting time, and that's already like 4 hours back into your life that are yours.
Absolutely. And something really interesting about the teacher that we're going to be learning today, our client teacher Art, also does some brick and mortar
Oh
teaching.
yeah, it's true.
So,
Yes.
there's even like we have a hybrid of online teaching, platform teaching, and brick and mortar teaching, and now teacherpreneurship. So it can be all those things. And Coach Chris, I'm just going to shout out some people here on
Oh,
Instagram.
awesome.
We have some
Who
people
do we
joining
have?
us from Poland. Shout out to my
Okay.
Polacks. Thank you for joining us today. Jess says she's a one and wanting to transition into independent teaching from South Africa. Shout out to our South African teachers. Love to have you with us.
Yes, our community is so full of South African folk, and it's just great. It's great. I love it.
Absolutely.
There's so
Yes.
much
And I
energy
know,
there.
absolutely, absolutely. Great.
Awesome. Alrighty, so let's get started with today's masterclass. Coach, can you take it away?
Yeah, guys, so let's really get into it. Like, why are you guys here today? Why did you show up for this masterclass? We have so
Yes.
many registrations for this masterclass today. We had so many messages reaching out to us if there will be a replay available. And something very special about this masterclass is that the replay will be available on our YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's something special. We're going to leave it up here for you guys. We want you guys to implement these steps. So you're probably here today because a number of reasons. Maybe you've already signed up for Xiaohongshu. You created that profile. Maybe you've posted some of your first content. Maybe you've just heard from other teachers what that tool might be and how it can potentially expose you to new leads in your teaching business. Maybe you've done a combination of those things or all those things, but you still haven't landed that first student. So if that sounds like you, let us also know in the comments
Yeah.
what brought you here to us today, what really enticed you to join us for this masterclass. Full
Let
transparency,
it,
did make a very catchy name for the masterclass.
yeah, let us give us a 1 if you still haven't landed your first student. How about that?
Yeah, let us know where you are in terms of your student base currently. Are you looking to land that first student, right? Are you have a small number of students that you want to scale your student base? Maybe you're at the point where you're quite full and you want to scale your biz and figure out maybe how you can, scale some more students in your group classes potentially. So you need a few more leads for that. Let us know where you're at. That will really give us a better understanding of your journey and how these specific steps can help you reach your goals in your teaching biz.
We're getting a lot of 1s in. On Instagram, any updates? Any 1s?
I'm seeing ones on Instagram. I see some teachers that have Xiaohongshu but have no idea about how to go about the app.
Awesome, awesome. Should we comment or should we share with everyone some of these
Yeah,
comments?
I would love to dive into them a little bit
Okay.
more.
So Joelle says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, please go ahead.
Joelle says, scale, scale, scale. I love
Yeah,
it.
if you're looking to scale, please give us more details on that. What does that mean for you? What does it mean to scale your business at this point? I'm
Yes.
really curious.
And our incredible, fantastic, and amazing Nancy
Sounds
is here
fantastic.
because, yes, Nancy's been a participant of our boot camps and is highly active in our community. So we're really grateful for your awesome support. And Nancy says that they got sidetracked with a ton of public school contracts on the platforms, but now it's summer and I need to work. Yes, absolutely. Summertime is the time to really, I think it's an opportune time to get on the horse, if you will. I'm trying to
Absolutely.
translate from Spanish, but it's not working. But like really taking the opportunity now, because right now, it's kind of, for a parent, I would say it's free for all, right? It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
want my student to like get exposed to everything. Let's do all the classes. There's no school. They have all the time in the world. So it's perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really prime time. There are really two prime times to get active on Xiaohongshu. Summer to the new school year is one of them. And obviously, the Spring Festival is another time, right? So, anytime there's a break in school, that's a really great time to be active.
Yes. So scale, scale again. Fortune says that they were at another webinar last week with another ASL teacher, said one can make $5,000 per month using this app and WeChat. Yes, so we definitely recommend using WeChat with this app. We're not going to be delving into the specifics of WeChat today. That's not the purpose of this masterclass, but definitely recommend any type of negotiation or conversation about enrolling your potential student be outside of Xiaohongshu, please.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just want to touch on one point here because something that came to mind because sometimes a lot of teachers get deterred by the fact that they're not WeChat verified. And it is becoming more increasingly difficult to get verified on WeChat if you're new to the app. It's not impossible, but you have to jump through a few hurdles. Don't let that stop you. There are plenty of alternatives that you can use. Dean Talk, for example. But for example, for me, I think a great alternative is Classin. Classin is a
Absolutely.
fantastic tool that can serve as a communication tool, a classroom management system. It's a great funnel to set up outside of Xiaohongshu. So don't let WeChat stop you from being active on Xiaohongshu. There's always a solution to your problem, I guarantee.
Great. Coach Kinga, just to, let's see, should we do one more and then continue for time's sake?
Absolutely.
Joelle says, I'm fully booked and all and making about 45 to 50 an hour between my 25 students, but I want to see if I can get Xiaohongshu students and get more like 60, 65. Awesome. Wow.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a great goal. And I love the specifics of your goal, Jill. I love that. I
Yes.
know we've worked with you before and we know you're a very direct person. I really value that about you, Joelle. And I love that your goal is so specific and your intention. So I can't wait to see you realize and fulfill that intention.
Speaking of intentions, Coach
Yeah.
Kinga.
Yes. Let's all tune in here, guys. And this is something I actually check in with the teachers that Coach Chris and I work with, because I really need to know what point we're starting from. So not
Yes.
only am I asking you guys to set your intention for today's training and masterclass, but I also want you to really focus on your intention behind why you want to get on Xiaohongshu. What is your purpose for being there? How can it help your teaching biz? Joelle is a great example. She's super specific about it. She's good with the biz she's created so far. She's good with her student base. She wants to see if she can use the app to scale that number to 60 to 65, right? So really get specific about your intention behind joining Xiaohongshu. Go ahead and drop it in the comments for me. So I would love to check in on it as well. And Instagram, please share with me as well. What is your intention behind getting active on Xiaohongshu? Coach Chris?
Yes.
Super. Anything you want to add behind, add to the intentions
Yes.
segment of our training?
Yes. I was trying to get to some comments on
Okay,
the
I see.
chat.
I see.
Yeah, so setting your intentions, really thinking, so we have to really get out of this framework. And I had to work through this too. And forgetting that like in X amount of weeks or an X amount of time, we can just kind of like our platform mentality, which was like open as many slots as you can, be a good teacher, get good feedback, and get all your slots filled. We cannot think like that anymore, because now if we're shifting into entrepreneurship and
Yeah,
having your own business, you're your own boss. And so that means that the results aren't going to happen overnight. There's a lot of teachers I see that are like, I've been doing this for 3 days. Why am I not getting my student base? It's not going to work like that. This is a social media platform, and a lot of these people don't know who you are. And that's why it's so important, the steps that we're going to talk about today, so that we are targeting the right person for your business, for your job, for your teaching lesson. Um, and some people aren't going to like you, some people are going to like you. And it's about building that exposure. So we must like erase from our minds if possible, that where it's not simply opening slots, it's not simply posting a
exactly.
single thing and expecting an immediate return. Just
Yeah.
FYI.
Even though on platforms it was competitive to some degree, right? Like, I mean, there weren't teachers being fully booked like others sometimes. So to some degree, it's like that times 1,000, right? Because now you are directly responsible for filling those slots. Another intention I want you guys to get really clear on. This is something I've been asking teachers recently. On Xiaohongshu, is your motive to build a huge following and go viral? Or is it to use
Yeah.
it to funnel leads into your sales funnel and convert them into paying students, because those are not necessarily the same things. You can look at my profile for an example, right? I have about 700 followers on there. By now, it's filled with teachers. But, my purpose of my profile was never to go huge. I just needed it to get those leads in through the door and start building my student base from there. So I also want you guys to shift that mindset of I have to go huge. A lot of these profiles with thousands of followers, they have zero converted students. Coach Chris and I know because
Yeah.
we've worked with those students, with those teachers directly, coming with those questions like, I have tons of followers, likes, comments, views. Why don't I have any paying students? So we're going to dive into that today, but really get clear on that intention.
Great. Shall we continue?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So, definitely a premise to this is that you have had some exposure to Xiaohongshu, and specifically that you've already launched your Xiaohongshu profile. And, from what we've shared with the comments and people on Instagram, that's true. So you're definitely in the right place. And again, with this question or this struggle, this opportunity to grow of like, okay, I haven't attracted any students, what's going on? So yeah, let's get into it. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So without further ado, we want to present our anonymous teacher client, Teacher R. Welcome.
Bravo, Teacher R.
Yes. So Teacher R started working with us at the end of May, early June. So it's been about a month or so. And he had about 0 followers. And with one post, he was actually able to go viral and get over 800 plus followers. And with that one post, um, he got about 7,000 or 8,000 views on that one post. And this was after a week of posting. So after that, he kept continuing with posting. And he was actually able to set up about 3 trial students. And
Yeah,
then out of those 3 trial students, he was able to land his first student.
exactly.
Um, but of course, this one viral post didn't just happen out of the blue, right? Setting your intentions. And we're actually going to go into how we helped him set up for success.
Absolutely. And I also want to touch on one aspect of this story because, yeah, we did start working with Teacher R more directly over the past month, but his journey started long before that. And it could be
Yes.
similar to some of you guys here today. Nancy, Joelle, Dana, you guys have all been with us from the very beginnings of Create and Funnel, and you've participated in a lot of our trainings, our workshops, our boot camps. Teacher R was very similar in that way. He really invested his time and his energy into his personal development as a teacherpreneur. So he did attend a lot of these trainings. He joined some communities on Facebook, like ours, for example, Xiaohongshu for Teachers, where he could connect with other like-minded teacherpreneurs. So his journey started long before that. But it was recently that
Correct.
he decided to dive in more deeply and get that level of support. And we're so glad that he did because, I mean, what a success story he is today.
Yes. And so before we get to step one, we've seen a lot of comments or thinking about this, that Chinese social media is oversaturated with teachers, right? And we're here to
Yes.
tell you that that's not the reason that you're not getting students. This isn't um, something to fret or something to be afraid of, right, Coach Kinga?
Yeah, it's not something to fret over. We have to keep in mind that these objections will come up in our own thoughts, but we will also hear them around us. So for example, going back to those free communities, you can hear a comment like this very often when someone recommends Xiaohongshu, or for example, they share the link to our community. They might say, well, Chinese social media is oversaturated. Is it worth it? Is it worth all the work, all the teachers on there? I don't really want to have to compete. To me, I wouldn't let that stop me. To me, that sounds like imposter syndrome, saying, I don't want to get outside my comfort zone and create content and build a better business for myself and claim back my time freedom and claim back my financial freedom. Yeah. Are there a lot of people using social media? Of course. But can it still work? Of course it can. We've seen it happen with the right strategies, with the right approach, with the right mindset and technique. You can make social media work for you.
Exactly. And I really, um, like I said, in setting your intentions, you really have to get away from this platform thinking mentality, because in the platform, the hard work or the behind the scenes work of marketing, making sure that that student is the right fit for the platform, seeing what level they're at, all of that now is onto us. And so we really do have to be realistic of that. I
Yes.
understand that this is going to be work, and that, if that's like, that's just the reality of things. So if that's not your cup of tea and you want something just given, or given to you like a gift, then maybe perhaps this isn't your route,
Yeah,
right?
it's not the right step for you. Exactly. That's what I always say, is that maybe, when I hear that comment or some kind of negative feedback, which I did hear recently, that someone said, why sign up for Xiaohongshu? It seems a lot of work. Like, why not just sign up for a platform like OutSchool or All School, where partly some of that work is being done for you? And, just restating those aspects of time freedom, financial freedom, but that teacher was not really getting it. And it just tells me they're not there yet. And that's okay. We don't all have to be on the same page. But, by some of us doing the good work and going out and pioneering this way and venturing into teacherpreneurship, we're doing good work because we're showing others it can be done. And eventually, those teachers may catch on later. And, we're doing a huge favor to the industry and ourselves as teachers to be able to reclaim that freedom and lift up our colleagues and stop allowing them to be exploited by these platforms because they're non-native speakers or they come from, uh, lower income countries and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of power also behind this shift into teacherpreneurship.
Yeah, like we're able to set the bar for our industry. And I think that's so powerful. And I hope you vibe with that, because that's what we're doing, for all of us. So let's go into step one. Is that okay, Kinga?
Absolutely. Yes. Step one is our answer to, if you feel that Chinese social media is oversaturated, like for example, Xiaohongshu, with how many users, Coach Chris?
There is 100 million active Xiaohongshu users.
Okay, 100 million. So what can we do to
That's a lot.
stand out among that 100 million? What can we do?
Right. So I love it because I've said this 100 million times. But our step one is identifying who your star student is. And that's our term to refer to your target student, to your ideal student, someone who you're going to wake up wanting to teach, someone that you're going to not feel drained after teaching, after a month or two, someone who you are going to have so much fun, someone who's going to actually build a relationship to you, look up to you, miss you when maybe they need to take a break. So all of this rapport that's needed, this is what we're referring to with a star student. Some people call it niche, but this is the way to attract the right type of client or student into your business. Again, we don't want to think like a platform. We're not trying to
Yeah,
just grab every type of student. We really
exactly.
want the student that is going to match with us.
Exactly. It's also about, understanding your own unique strengths and what you have to
Yes.
offer and thinking about your zone of genius in your online classes, like where you really feel you're serving value and bridging gaps and overcoming challenges. Like, be really specific about that and, identify that with your star student. How I like to compare it is this also pertains to how much you're going to be willing to charge or able to charge rather in your future offer, right? Because let's think of it this way. If you're a specialist in any industry, you're going to be able to charge a higher rate, right? I mean, if I'm a general practitioner, a doctor, you know, I might be doing well, but I can't charge as much as I can't be earning as much as a neurosurgeon, right? Because I have a more generic skill set. But by specializing my skill set, I'm able to overcome that and really, raise my value as well, right?
Exactly. So, we wanted to do a little workshop with you, right? To help you
Exactly.
identify who this is, Kinga?
Yeah, because I think a lot of teachers still need some work in this area. We ask
Yes.
this question all the time, and we hear answers like, my
Tell
star
me
student
about
is
it.
between 9 to 18 years old, or I just want the student that will pay me the highest rate. So we're going to do some work here to make sure you really get the specifics behind who your star student is.
I also hear things like, I want someone who wants to learn English. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
All of us want
We
that.
need
So we
to
really want to focus.
exactly. We need to fine tune that really specifically.
So, really quick to get y'all's engaged in the chat, I would love, and on Instagram, I would
Please.
love for you to write the name. And if you don't want to share the real name, you can make up one. But I would love for you to share the name of your favorite student ever in the world. I
Okay.
know that you have that name ready in your head. So, mine is Medi. I love her. We started when she was 3. Now she's 5.
Wow.
Um, what about you, Kinga? Who's your favorite student in the world?
What comes to mind for me is Hugo. Hugo
Oh,
started off
Hugo.
very, yeah, he's a little performer. He dances, he pops, he does all the things. He started off
Wow.
really fluent. He's really outgoing and confident in his speaking, but we just have to fine tune a few details. Our lessons are super organic. We just speak about the subjects that we love and explore critical thinking. So that's the student that definitely comes to mind for me,
I love
Hugo.
it. I love it. So I'm seeing names in the comments. I'm gonna share some here. Lisa, Bebe, Damien, Taurus.
Great.
On Instagram, any names, Kinga?
Any names, Instagram, share with me the name of your favorite student that you've worked before. It could be a past student that you've
Yeah,
worked with before, maybe from your platform. Let me know.
yeah, great. So now that we have this name and perhaps a visual of this student in the front of our minds, I want you to think about your favorite lesson with that student. So for
Okay.
me, my favorite lesson was with Medi, and she was 3 at the time, and we were learning the basic letters. So we were going through all of the phonics,
Okay.
and we got to the letter D. And so, of course, I always like to challenge my students. So even though she was 3, I was like, because, well, I also knew her hobby was dancing. So I was like, Maddie, let's learn dance. And I remember that she just got up because she understood the concept. She got up and started doing like ballet moves. And then I kind of joined in, and it's still one of my favorite moments till today.
That's amazing. Yes. And what a great way to, incorporate your students' interests into the lesson to keep it interesting, right? And create that kind of core memory behind your class. So that's amazing.
Yes. So, if you could share maybe a phrase or two about your favorite lesson or the topic that you were teaching in that lesson in the chat, that would be great. If not, let's keep going with the thinking exercise. So now that we have the name, now that we have your favorite moment,
Mhm.
now we want to dissect that, if you will. And so, Lori, I know you mentioned the chats. This is kind of what I'm going to message you back, but it's about dissecting these moments and this name and thinking about characteristics, qualities, or strengths, or moments of praise where you, yeah, moments of praise. So for me, in the example I just gave, so I'm thinking about a student who's just beginning English. I really love teaching phonics. I understand that my student has hobbies and interests outside of school, outside of me, outside of English, that may or may not be influenced by the parents at that young age. I know that their location is in China because that's who I'm targeting through Xiaohongshu. I know that gender, it can be both. For me, yeah. And so these are the things or characteristics or a list that I want to take when now I'm thinking about creating content or who I want to be targeting. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing a lot of real life moments. Like Dana says that her student is hilarious. So every class with her, awesome. So allowing your student the ability to express their natural selves is really amazing. Justina says, I love when my student's grandma learns English with us and she can speak some now. She always brings up props and toys on the spot for her granddaughter. That is amazing. Yeah, incorporating the family into your lessons. The day Lisa showed me a picture of a real life kitten she had drawn, and I couldn't figure out which one was the real picture or her drawing. Amazing. So many talented kids. And for them to be able to share their skills outside of, learning languages. And, that's something I like to incorporate in my classes, because some of these some of their experiences with education is so cut and dry, so black and white. It's so instructional. So I love to incorporate that element of Western education, that element of like elementary education that I experienced as a kid. Because, for example, now living in Poland, the education system is so much different. And so showing them in your class that classes can be collaborative, classes can be outside of the box. I'm able to challenge the teacher's opinions and answers, and I'm able to come up with a conclusion on my own using my own critical thinking, or I'm able to incorporate my home environment in this class. Those are all elements as well that could be valuable about how you show up as a teacher, right?
Exactly, exactly. Great. Coach Kinga, let's go on. Let's continue. Yes?
Absolutely, yes. So hopefully you guys got some clarity by now on your star student. We need you to stick with that idea and have that student in mind as we move forward, guys. Important to hold on to that image.
Absolutely.
Let's go on.
Awesome. So another other comments that we generally see is that there's this thought that we have to stick to your platform job to support yourself, right, Kinga?
Exactly. I mean, this is a very common objection, and it's totally valid and understandable. I get it. Not everybody is in the position to completely ditch the platform. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to support ourselves, we have to pay the bills. But I did hear something very interesting, that it's really interesting that when we put ourselves in a risky situation, why does our mind always go to the worst outcome? Which, for example, I quit my platform job and I end up homeless on the street. Like, you know what I mean? Like, our mind really goes there, right?
Yes. Sorry. I have so much to say on that, but anyway.
Okay. Okay. So we can explore that topic. So I just want to let you guys know that I hear you on that. I've been in that position myself. I've been in that position myself for sure. But I'm a very impulsive person. Coach Chris knows this about me. And when I was faced with this
Absolutely.
situation,
Yes.
yes, it's true. When I was faced with the situation of like, going into teacherpreneurship, I was so fed up with my platform. I knew that, it was really going to hold me back. And I would never be the kind of person who could do it simultaneously. So I had to just put it away, quit, and just really give it a go with this teacherpreneurship. But that's not a copy and paste story. That might not be the same situation for you. And that's okay. But there are things we can do to slowly make that transition, to shift into that teacherpreneur mindset, right?
I absolutely. I always say it's the it's your behavior of taking a step forward or
Yes,
taking action, because there's so much knowledge out there and you can watch 100 more master classes on the same topic, but if you don't take that action, then you won't see results.
exactly. It's not going to lead to anything if we don't take that first step and then the next step and then the following step.
Yes, so that brings us to actually step number 2. Shifting into the teacherpreneur mindset.
Exactly. And going back to what we said, guys, it doesn't have to be this huge thing of it's all or nothing. That was my story. It doesn't have to be your story. It can be your story. If you're willing to take that risk and give it all you got, fantastic. Power to you. If you're not ready to take that step yet, take the first step you can. Okay? Work that out, then take the next step. And it's really interesting that with our client, Teacher R, we had to do a lot of work around this kind of mindset thing and shifting into the teacherpreneur mindset. I mean, it's natural. I think to some degree, we're all traumatized by our platforms on different levels, right? That sometimes we're afraid to be a bit more assertive about our prices or our policies, or being more proactive in our conversations and our conversions, or even being able to put yourself out there on social media is a huge step forward as well. If you are, for example, on a platform, maybe you don't want your platform to know that you are marketing yourself on social media. So take the step that you can and slowly build that momentum.
Yes. So give us a 1 if you take a step, if you have taken a step or many steps to becoming a teacher entrepreneur, because I saw a lot of hybrids way back at the beginning of the class. So I
We
want to
did.
know if you are doing something, if you're taking action, hit us up with a 1 in the
Let's
comments.
yeah, let's make it specific. Let us know if you're taking daily steps. If you're taking daily steps to get to where you need to be or where you want to be in your teacherpreneurship. Awesome. And
Awesome.
let's take it a little step further. I see ones. Okay, expand on that. What step have you taken recently? What step have you taken recently to bring you to the next level of your teaching biz? Instagram, let me know as well, guys. If you're with me, let me know what actionable step have you taken and implemented into your business to really lift off in your independent teacherpreneurship. All right. Nancy says daily as of this month, but got lazy with my platforms during the school years. Yeah, so sometimes our platforms can kind of dwindle that momentum that we may have, right? Sometimes that element of risk puts that fire under our butts to really get it going and ramp it up. Um, Fortune
Fortune. Yeah.
Fortune says I joined the Red app. I think, Fortune, you mean here Red, and registered with WeChat. Awesome. First step forward. Congratulations. Perfect. Now take some time. Next step, take some time to get familiar with Xiaohongshu. Do some exploring on the app over the weekend. You don't have to be active. Build that engagement and do some discovering on there.
Great. Dana says, no daily subs right now, but planning to start daily soon. For the past while, I've just been responding to messages and moving combos to WeChat. Excellent.
That's great. And, it's wonderful to be building that database. Fantastic. And, teachers, if you're not taking that daily step, ask yourself, why? Is it a matter of lack of time? Is it a matter of lack of motivation, lack of accountability? It can be a lot of things. For me, when it comes to content, it's due to my lack of time organization that trips me up very often from producing content. So really identifying, what the source of that might be.
So actually, that brings us to our next point, right, Kinga?
It does indeed.
This thought, this thought of not having the tech skills to make content when going into Chinese social media. And honestly, it doesn't take too much tech skills because you already have most of the tech skills that you need. Why? Because you're an online teacher, you've experienced a web platform, you have a
Exactly.
handle of a webcam, you have a handle of presenting yourself through a screen, you have a handle on teaching someone through a screen, and you got it. You don't have to think about these extremes of being like a viral influencer. We have to really use the resources that we have inside of us.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's really interesting that some of the most recent videos that I've noticed on Xiaohongshu, especially for teachers that have gone viral and have built a significant following for teachers, are quite simple, to be honest. Some of them don't even have any cuts. They're just one like long, well, not long, but one extended, 60 to 90-second video of a teacher talking, but they're talking very directly to their star student and serving direct value to their star student. So it's appealing to that star student. So sometimes it's not all about the bells and whistles. It's more about the meat that you are serving. But with that being said, if you feel deterred or intimidated by the level of content creation on Xiaohongshu, I would use that as motivation to gain that skill set. That's exactly what I did. Guys, before I became a teacherpreneur, I couldn't even make a PowerPoint. So, let's just let that sit there for a second, okay? I didn't even know how to make PPTs. I still don't even like to make PPTs, okay? So,
It's true. No, I'm kidding.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I have to ask you
I'm
these
kidding.
things
I'm
now. I'm
kidding.
like, Chris, help me. Even with today's
No.
slides. But listen, guys, I had that feeling when I got on the app. I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of content. I was never really like a Reels or TikTok kind of person. And I saw all this content these teachers were producing. I wanted to be able to do something similar, even though I knew I wasn't the kind of person to be like so editing oriented, Chris. But, anyways, I knew that Chris had that ability. And I went to him and I was like, dude, I need to know what you do, how you
What
do
you
it.
do,
Give
how
me
you do
an
it.
hour of your time and teach me everything you got. So I used that lack to drive my motivation to really gain those skills. And, look at me 1 year later on StreamYard.
Yeah, and a Reels queen. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Like for me, like I love it. I love editing. I love taking the time to really compose something that I think is the is formatted for short video,
Yes,
social media, quick consumption. And so, Kinga came to me. We did a training that's I kind of also part of our beginnings of Creating Funnel, actually.
exactly.
And we sat down, and really it came down to learning, a few more steps with any video, with a video editing software, and they're all alike. So if you learn one, you can apply the skills to many
Yeah,
others, like Instagram Reels. And so it was just learning a few more steps, and it's exactly what you experienced when you first started teaching online, perhaps. I remember, like, having to think about how to light my room correctly for a
okay.
classroom because I never taught online before, right? So
Mhm.
it's these little learning things that actually get better as you keep doing them. So
Exactly.
that really brings me to my next point of, like, not thinking that it has to be perfect the first time, because it won't be,
Exactly.
and it isn't going to be, and it's okay.
Yeah, and it's a process. Learn from your mistakes. Give yourself the grace to learn from your mistakes. Yeah, my reels got better. They're not perfect compared to, so many other creators on Instagram. But, I can see the progress and their development over time. And I can see that development in my strategy and also um, my literacy with these editing tools as well. And it's a matter of what you're comfortable with. Like, I know that Chris likes to edit on his PC. I'm much more of a phone editor because it's more intuitive for me and I like that format. So experimenting also with what you feel comfortable with.
Yes. About speaking about that, Kinga, do you want to share this thought that we see a lot as well?
Yeah, exactly. Another objection that we often hear, and in fact, that's with another teacher that we've been working with, and it is a valid objection, and I hear you on that. That a lot of teachers don't want to show up on video for their content. And while sometimes you have some grace with that, like on Instagram, because like these days, carousel posts and static posts are getting a lot of reach on Instagram, I'm not quite convinced that that's the same format and algorithm on Xiaohongshu, to be honest. So it is still the case that short form video is king this right now when it comes to content. And let's think about it. Your job right now, especially since we can't hop on Xiaohongshu and market our classes directly and use the call to action, sign up for my class and, message me for a free trial, we have to be able to build rapport and nurture our community, right? The only way we could do that is by showing up on video and putting a face behind your teacher brand. They have to be able to get to know you to be able to feel comfortable to reach out to you in DMs and ask about what you have on offer. So the advice I like to give for this is I understand, I hear it, practice, break that ice. Think of it this way. It's quite the same, guys. Most of us here are online teachers. Some of us are brick and mortar teachers. I get that. But even the element of being a brick and mortar teacher and showing up in front of your class the first time is a little terrifying and nerve wracking, right? It's the same feeling when you worked on a platform, you had a trial class, and you turn on the camera for that first student. Maybe sometimes mom is sitting there, that makes it a little bit more amplified, that feeling of nerves. It's the same idea. Like, think about your first time showing up online for your class and what that felt like, and think about what it feels like now. Like, for me, by now, I don't even care. And maybe that's not a good thing. Like, my hair is like all over here, and it is what it is. But I'm not stressed about showing up on video, and I guarantee you it'll get better every time, just like Chris said. Implement it step by step. It gets better with time.
Exactly. I'm not also not perfect. I also try to improve what I do, and I try to, like, think about ways to optimize, right? Anyways, that brings us to our that brings us into thinking about perhaps, okay, so yes, I'll practice, I'll just post, I'll get ready to go on video. Um, but what plan do I have to do so? And so that really goes into step 3. And Coach Kinga will take it away on how to craft a unique and diverse content strategy.
Yeah. So, guys, this is something interesting because by now we have a lot of resources on social media about social media, right? We also have more and more
Yes.
resources about Xiaohanshu. We've seen them, we know, and I think it's great. Let's get the word out there as much as we can. And we all have our own perspective to share, right? But what I see a lot of is serve value, serve value, serve value. Great. Absolutely serve value. But I think that's the missing ingredient in why so many profiles are stuck at maybe a large following but no conversions, or maybe very minimal views with no traffic. Because maybe you're only serving educational content and you haven't diversified your strategy. Have you set up pillars in your content to give a range of content, of different content tailored for your star student, of course, and keeping your star students' interests and challenges in mind, but diversifying it to keep them interested, right? We don't want to keep repurposing the same idea over and over and over again. You know, you can serve some education. Of course, you're positioning yourself as an expert in that way, right? You can serve some inspirational, motivational posts. You're building a community around that feeling of uniting in this feeling of, yes, it's daunting to learn a language, or facing this challenge is very scary for me. Don't forget, this is a shout out to my coach because she always tells me about that, to show transformational posts. More of that. That is actually the kind of post that is definitely going to seal the deal. What did you do to take your student from A to B? Show that transformation. It doesn't have to be, showing your student. You could show up on video and talk about how you took your student from A to B. You can use a class clip if you have that available, for example. And don't be afraid to show your personality. Throw in a little entertainment in there. Be your authentic self. Show the behind the scenes of your real life. Utilize your home environment. So I really think that a diverse content strategy is one of the missing ingredients in a lot of these strategies out there, and what is keeping student teachers stuck at the level their Xiaohanshu profile is currently.
Exactly. Exactly. So um, having a strategy in mind is awesome when you get onto the app. And another general thought that we see in our community, and actually in the chat I've seen it as a question, that's why I didn't bring it up before, but it's that the app is in Chinese and I don't know how to use it. So first and foremost, we don't want to fret again. I don't know Chinese. Kinga doesn't know Chinese. We don't need to know Chinese. Yes, there are parts of the app and the content that you consume as a user will be in Chinese, but for the most part, on a technical level, your phone should be translating a lot of the features into English so that it's really usable for you. And so you want to make sure that you're downloading the right app by going to xiaohongshu.com/download, and making sure that you allow for permissions and stuff so that your app can see your phone settings and then be in English for most of the part. Anything you want to add, Kinga, to this objection?
Yeah, I think for me, this is another one of those imposter voice things, or imposter syndrome things, or one of those like procrastination things that is meant to keep us in our comfort zone. Okay. Because nothing good happens usually in our comfort zone except a packet of Pringles and the good TV show, maybe, right? I'm kidding. But it's uncomfortable, you know? Like, listen, when I got on the app, do you think I knew what I was doing? I had no idea what Redbook even was. Somebody just mentioned it to me. I didn't even know if I had downloaded the right app. But, I took my time to do some exploring. So I decided to be proactive and just organically start looking around, start getting to know the ins and outs, looking through the menu, looking through the discover page. Then I saw, okay, this app is similar in some ways to Instagram. In other ways, it's similar to Pinterest. I have experience with those apps. I wonder if I can use them in the same way. So, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and get in there and build engagement. There's another reason why engagement is so important on Xiaohongshu, and a lot of teachers also neglect that aspect. It's not just about posting, posting, posting. Chris, can you tell us a little bit more about the logistics of why being an engaged user on Xiaohongshu is important?
Absolutely. That actually gets us into step 4, which is building your
Perfect.
engagement. And with Teacher R, when we started, we did step 1. We did the star student. We got a good visual of that. We uh, He already was into the teacherpreneur mindset.
Yeah.
Step 3, Coach Kinga worked with Teacher R on content strategy. And so awesome. Teacher R
And
was
Coach Chris with
posting.
editing, by the way.
Yes, I was helping with edits.
Exactly. Exactly.
Still am. And so he was posting. He was in line with his content strategy, but the views were like at 50, at 100, and I was like, wait a minute, teacher R, what's happening here? Because we
Going on
got
behind.
everything in set.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
have everything's good, everything's golden, it's coast clear. We're on the highway. And so then the question came. I was like, wait a minute, teacher, what are you doing after you post? And teacher was like, moving on with my life. And I was like, oh my goodness. No, 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 no. And I immediately talked about this step with Teacher Art, which is about building engagement. All of the apps have this keyword in them, which is social. It's a social media platform. And so the inner workings of these apps in this code, the only way you can measure this abstract concept of socialness through mathematical operations is engagement. What does that mean? Liking, commenting, favoriting, searching, using the app, uh, and flicking your finger, even if you don't understand a lot of the content on there. This is how a machine can quantify the social aspect of social media. And so that's why building engagement is so important, because after you post, you can't just ghost the app. You have to be a participant in the app, because if not, then you're just perhaps another bot, right? Or you're perhaps
Exactly.
this empty
Exactly.
profile. And so
Exactly.
then your views are going to stay at 50,
Mhm.
100 views and not get to where we want to get to, which is 7,000, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so well said. Thank you, Coach Chris, for that, because social media is as much give as it is take, right? Because I mean, that's what
Yeah.
these apps are built for our engagement, to engage with each other on these apps. And as you said, being social. But also, a really valuable aspect of being engaged on Xiaohongshu is you're doing market research. You should be looking up the same content that your star student is looking up, so you know what kind of content they're engaging with, right? And there's a way to
Exactly.
engage authentically keyword authentically with that content without, oh, well, I did my 10 minutes of engagement for today. Oh, I left a couple comments on this student reading. Like you said, it's about being authentic in that approach, because you don't want the app thinking you're just another bot. You're just another ghost user doing the daily engagement check off. So use it also to your advantage, this engagement strategy.
Exactly. Exactly. So probably the question that you've all been wondering is, how long will it take to land my first student, right? And so really quickly, I want to recap the steps that we covered today, which is choosing your star student, posting consistently and engaging, having your content strategy and crafting that, and then of course building engagement, right? So making sure that you're not just a bot on this app.
Yeah. Absolutely. And guys, feel free, if you want to summarize today's masterclass and you want to just have those steps in condensed format, screenshot this, put it up on your phone as a reminder. These are the steps that I got to take to land that first student. Ask yourself what step you have taken today. Maybe you got to break these down into further steps. That might be the case, right?
Exactly. Right? You don't want to tackle, you know, all of it if that's not where you are at the moment.
Exactly.
Great. So how long will it take to land my first student? Let's get so with Teacher R, uh, Coach Kinga with Teacher R, we started working with him so this is an example, right, guys? So for him, it was end of May, early June, and this happened last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
So yeah, about 4 weeks of working, implementing, having that mentorship with us, right?
exactly. So when I think about that journey and process, I have a few answers that come up for me, because my
Okay,
journey with Teacher R really started 1 year ago. That's the first time that we, crossed paths, and I saw him
that's
step
true.
into this community. So, there was that work being done to really transition to the point where he is today and into teacherpreneurship. And I know that that was challenging for him because he had some pushback. He had, his own things that he had to overcome to really get comfortable with that transition. Fast forward to a year later, Teacher R decided on a different level of support and mentorship. So he really dived into that more deeply 1 month ago, right? And we were able to do some more work with the mindset shifts and setting up the back end of his business and optimizing his biz systems, so when those students did show up, that everything was ready to go, A game, for maximum conversion, maximum results. Took a lot of work to do behind the scenes. In terms of being active on social media, his content he was posting for a week. So if we're just looking at it
Right.
from the perspective of being active on Xiaohongshu, that was 1 week for Teacher R. So, this, like, we're not making this up. Sometimes I'm like, gosh, that was faster than me, to be honest. But it's an individual path, and it's so many moving parts at the same time. For me, I
Absolutely.
started my journey in November. I didn't really sign up my first student until late January. But I got on Xiaohongshu on December Christmas Eve, and I was hosting trials on New Year's Eve, for example. How about you, Chris?
For me, I started a month after you, and I was able to sign up as my first students about by the end of that month, perhaps.
But you also
I
have
know
started in November, like me, right? Like really launching your business.
exactly. Yeah, I started my business in November, right?
Mhm.
So it wasn't until November, December, yeah, about 3 or 4 months in, until I really saw um, that growth happening.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's really, it is work because it is social media and there are no guarantees, but it is the results tied into how much effort you're willing to implement, but healthy effort, not burning yourself out, because that is not sustainable and that's not going to get you any good results. You want to build healthy habits definitely around your approach to social media, by the way, but also your ability to be flexible. This is super important because I see teachers get boxed into a strategy and this is what I have to do. And if I just do this, it's going to take me to this result. We need to be implementing things and taking a step back and auditing and seeing what works for us, maybe readjusting and taking more steps forward based on the results that we have on hand. So, also that element of being flexible is really important. And even as an online teacher, that's important too, right?
Absolutely. And like with Teacher R, mid posting, mid posting marathon, we had to like go into the stats and see like, okay, is post A working better? Is post B working better? Why? Okay, well, let's go with post A and let's try to replicate those strategies.
Exactly. And that's exactly why those content fillers are so important, because then we get to see what kind of post is really building that engagement in our strategy and garnering those views that we want to have, or bringing in the most DMs, for example.
Yes, excellent. So, talking about individual paths and timelines, I do want to propose to all of you that are live with us the following question. So, what would happen 1 month from now if you started today?
Exactly. But guys, if you really started today, if you really started implementing those actionable steps, those daily actionable steps, step by step, one by one, where would that take you from point A today to point B next month? Where do you see yourself? What could that do for the quality of your independent teaching biz?
Yeah, let us know. Let us imagine, let us envision. Um, let us, yeah, I love to imagine and envision. So if you could let us know in the chat or on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram, if you're with us, let us know if you start actively working today. If you start to implementing one step, one daily step in your teaching biz to get you to your first student or your next student, what would that look like for you 1 month from now?
First student,
Mm-hmm.
enrolling your first student, visibility, and 3 new students.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love it. I love these goals.
Perfect. Yeah, so it might look like, visibility, more eyes on your content, Dana. Thank you for that one. It might look like growth in your student base, for example. It might look like, scaling your income, raising that rate to a more sustainable rate, ramping up your monthly income, for example, building brand awareness, Teacher Lori says. Great.
Nancy says, I think just gaining trust so the students can introduce me to their friends and family for classes. Building
Awesome.
trust, absolutely.
I love this. I love this specific intention. Maybe I don't want to build, my student base solely off of Xiaohongshu. It only takes one. Seriously, it takes one to be able to get off the app and into your database and use that student and build the momentum with that student to get those referrals, right? So you guys, you don't see me active on Xiaohongshu anymore, right? I don't need to be active anymore. That's not where I need to go to nurture my community to scale my student base. I have my warm and hot leads on WeChat. I've done the work on Xiaohongshu. I'm nurturing my community elsewhere. So that's okay too. So thank you so much for that, Nancy. I love that perspective. Awesome, guys. So we really wanted to put it to you in terms of 1 month for a very specific reason. Also, not having it be this daunting thing of like, when it's infinite, right? That feels really overwhelming. So breaking it down into sizable chunks, I think makes it feel like we can navigate this a little more peacefully, if not easily. So we have an amazing opportunity that we really want to talk to you guys about. And thank you so much if you stuck around with us this long. Shout out to you in the chat.
Yes.
We want to go ahead and introduce this amazing opportunity. You may have heard us talk about it in our stories, in our group, Xiaohanshu for Teachers. Maybe you're on our mailing list. Coach Chris, can you do the honors for us here?
Absolutely. We want to introduce to all of you this opportunity of a membership called Teach to Thrive, a community of like-minded teacher entrepreneurs taking off in their independent teaching biz.
Awesome. Yes, Teach to Thrive, and that name is not an accident. We are a group. Right now, we're a small group of sizable but small, which is great because we really have direct contact and support with each other to really thrive in our independent teaching businesses, whether that's starting from scratch, whether that's scaling, as some of you said before. But we're all connected by one common theme, that we are former platform teachers looking to really transition into our independent teaching, thrive in that, scale our income, and grow that student base, and learn more about social media marketing and how it can help us achieve those goals that we set out for ourselves.
Exactly. So, thinking about Teach to Thrive in 1 month, and thinking in this 1 month framework, we can help you with those perhaps generic content that's attracting a wide audience, putting out a wide net, and really focusing on that star student, just like Teacher R. Coming up and creating a customized content strategy to attract those star students into your followers, into your DMs, and then into your messaging app, whether that's WeChat or Klassen or Ding Talk, like we talked about. And also knowing what to post and who to post for, so that we can make sure that we're converting more students.
Yeah, and these are some challenges that we often hear about when it comes to Xiaohanshu, right? Or there are challenges
Exactly.
that we come across, right? So let us know, guys, what your struggle has been. Do you feel like you are posting content that is too generic? It doesn't appeal to anyone specifically? Do you feel like you don't know what to post or how to post it? Um, do you feel that you lack a strategy behind your content? Let us know some of your challenges that you might be facing on your journey currently on Xiaohanshu.
Yes.
Great. So we'll wait for your feedback. Instagram, don't be afraid to share with us your answers as well. Nancy Rogers sings, maybe she sings this, I don't know, that she feels a bit generic and mostly lost. Feel free to expand on that, Nancy. What do you feel lost about or on specifically? Okay. Um,
Lori.
Lori says that she feels there is a lack of strategy now that she knows her ideal student. Fantastic, Lori. First of all, congratulations on the clarity you've gained on your ideal student, your star student. Shout out to you. When you say lack of strategy, do you mean content-wise, like knowing what kind of posts to make? Does that mean like time, spacing those posts, or how frequently you post, what kind of posts they might be? Let us know more about that. Mhm. Nancy says, I'm totally afraid to ask the students' parents to post their private classes. Is there a way you can overcome that in your content? Can you just narrate the process? Can you talk about it in your content and give more tips about how you bridge some gaps? Chris, do you have something to add to this objection here?
Yes. I was afraid, actually. I was in your same boat, Nancy. And that's another thing that really brought Kinga and I together when we started this project, was uh, Kinga was able to kind of exemplify and walk me through some of those questions that I never really thought about or I even had considered when someone would approach me. Hey, I really like your content. What's the next step, right? So being able to be confident in leading the conversation, Nancy, in those situations.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, taking a proactive approach.
exactly,
That is required in teacherpreneurship, guys. That it does require a certain level of assertiveness, and that's great. That's really a great thing that we can add that skill and work on that skill because we're tired of being beat up and pushed around by platforms. Let's take our power back and let's lead the conversation now and let's set the policy, right? One thing Nancy also said is that she feels that some of her posts are too simple, but she really loves teaching the baby beginners. Right. But let's think of it this way, Nancy. Who's going to be scrolling the app? Is it going to be the baby or is it going to be the parent who has the baby? So maybe you need to direct some more posts to the parent. Like maybe you need to tell them some things that they can implement at home to start building fluency with their child from a really early age. What tips as an online teacher, classroom teacher, can you share with a stay-at-home parent that they could be implementing at home, that they might be coming back for to you, right?
exactly, exactly.
Dana's is a good one too, Chris.
I just didn't feel like I had the energy and enough motivation to keep going. Now is the time for me to push through to success. I love it.
Well,
I love it.
speaking about this, like that's exactly what the intention of the membership was. Our
Yes.
partnership, Chris, came from accountability. I always knew, and I know this about myself, that if I don't have someone that I'm doing something with, then I don't think I'd be doing anything at all. And I even tried to talk myself out of creating funnel. Remember, Chris?
Creating funnel. Yes. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I was like, it was like summer, and I was like, you know what? I think we should just do this like in the autumn. He's like, no, we're doing this in June. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
it was a wild summer.
it was indeed, and it is again. But it's important. Teacherpreneurship can be so isolating, and like the people around us, they don't know what we're doing. Like I had to drop my kids off at a birthday party today. How do I explain to those moms? Sorry, I can't stay at this birthday party because I have a YouTube live at 9 p.m. that I need to be on. Like, do you think they understand what that means? Absolutely not. Does Chris know what that means? Yes, he does. Do you guys know what that
100.
means? Yes, you do. You are my people. I keep myself accountable by being in touch with my community and checking in with you guys. That was the drive and the focus of creating this membership to keep teachers accountable and share our experiences. We all have valuable experiences and insight that can put us closer to our end goal, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It
Mhm.
takes a village.
Absolutely.
So you may have already tried the Xiaohongshu thing before. And today, I hope what you took away are these critical steps to be able to lead the path to your success and your teaching business goals. And so, what we really want to touch on with Teach to Thrive, um, is the other materials and other resources and other guidance that you will get as part of this membership that will augment these steps, right? That will boost these for you. So first and foremost, you'll be getting one free digital resource per month. So you'll have access already to the ones that we have released, like
Exactly.
our starter guide. And last month was, this month, right? This month's Shaohangshu guide. And then we have 2 monthly live trainings here in our wonderful StreamYard, one with myself and one with Coach Kinga. And then
Yes.
we love to wrap up the month with our monthly Zoom call so that we can see your amazing faces face to face and have conversations, answer questions. Last call was so awesome. We got to talk about all and everything, right? We don't limit your questions to anything during that group call. And then, of course, we're supported by our Slack channel member hub, where you actually have access to Kinga and I and your other thrivers.
Exactly. So this has been a really useful tool, and it's that kind of, I don't want to say lower level of support, right? But it's not as intensive as the mentorship, because we understand not everybody's ready for that step yet. But maybe you need a direct line if you have a lead on the line, for example. This is when most of the teachers do use it, that, I have a lead on the line. What do I do? How do I proceed? This is a moment you can come to your community and reach out and share your experience with each other. This is a moment where you can reach out to Coach Chris and I and have us guide you through the process a little bit. So it's really useful. It's a great way for us to keep our eyes on your content. For example, to watch you implement those strategies and that content that we have talked about in our trainings, for example. So it's a very valuable resource. It's proven to be a very valuable resource in our membership, indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to mention for those that are still with us and on Instagram that that we want to open the floor for a special bonus, if you will, for the next 48 hours, right, Kinga?
48
48
hours
hours.
fast action bonus. Act now.
Woo! Let's talk about it. So, first bonus is, of course, talking about our recommended video editing software, CapCut, where we'll workshop on how to go through the app functions so that you have the know-how on how to edit your own videos on your own time through CapCut, which is a free video editing software.
Exactly. So this is exactly the kind of training that I asked Coach Chris for in my early stages. And if your objection was, I don't know how to edit content, I'm not a content creator, this is the perfect resource for you. This is the step that really broke that barrier for me to be able to be a content creator today.
Great. Kinga, do you want to talk about the next bonus?
Yes. Another workshop that I'm really excited about and I know is super necessary is a curriculum lesson planning workshop, where I will help guide you towards the right resource for your classes that's going to be in alignment with your STAR students' needs and challenges learning wise, right? But I'm also going to help you minimize your prep by helping you choose resources that are readily available or very seamless, can be incorporated into your classroom platform, and it won't require you to create a bunch of PPTs around your lessons on a daily basis.
Exactly. And then our next bonus is awesome because we actually are able to look at your Shangshu profile and give you feedback on where it is right now.
Exactly. This is also really, really personal. Like, this is a personalized element. That's why we wanted to add this bonus. Actually, I just wrapped up a profile audit very recently for one of our newest members in our Teach to Thrive community, actually. And it was really helpful to kind of also fine tune towards that star student. We saw that it was more a little bit generic. We want to, gear it more towards who that teacher is trying to serve. So it's a very, very valuable tool to have on deck moving forward with your content.
Absolutely. So again, we have 48 hours to act on this so that you can get your bonuses. And so the next steps that you need to take, of course, to grab your spot is to head over to the short link bit.ly/teach to thrive. Follow the steps to complete your payment, and then we'll send you a intake form to invite you, get to know you a little bit, and invite you into the Slack channel where you'll meet with your other thrivers. And at the moment is the hub for all of the resources in Teach to Thrive.
Exactly. And something really cool I want to add, this is all Coach Chris, but something really cool about the feedback form is that our community is AI amplified. So
Yes.
when you fill in your feedback form, Coach Chris, what happens?
So actually a good chunk of that is processed through AI. And
Yeah.
then in the Slack channel, you automatically get an introduction message. So your thrivers already know who you are and where you're coming from. And you can actually read their intros as well. So it really just breaks the ice for you right away.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And another thing, guys, about that digital resource, if you get inside, before this weekend, which is now, right? We are actually going to be dropping our newest resource very soon, like within hours. Because it's just been finished. We've just finalized. It's a brand new resource. It's not been seen by anybody but Coach Chris and I. So we're super excited about it. It's the ultimate Xiaohongshu guide. It also includes a 7-day content plan. So you could really get started if you wanted to. So we're super excited to be dropping that really recently. So it's a great opportunity to join us now and get your hands on it.
Awesome. Great. Any last things on the next steps, Coach Kinga?
That's about
Before
it.
we open up the floor? Okay.
Just touching on Nancy's comment, I just wanted to say that Nancy says that sounds awesome. I've heard of CapCut but never used it. I think this is one of the best editing tools out there. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it is. I like it a lot. It has a lot of great features. It's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
CapCut, when you learn the tools in CapCut, you can kind of take them to other video editing softwares like Reels on Instagram or InShot. But my preference is CapCut.
Perfect. Me too. I like it. It's very intuitive and it works really well for me.
Great. So we want to open up the floor to some questions and answers before we sign off. So let us know. Oh, Nancy, it was great to see you too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Our Instagrammers.
Yes. There is a question from Sherry, which is one of our thrivers. Shout out to teacher Sherry. I'll spell it.
Hey, Thriver.
CapCut. And don't worry, Sherry, because you will be receiving that tutorial. So you're already with us on that one. You'll be getting it directly in your Slack channel. Awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining us through this one. We do hope it was able to answer some of your questions about Xiaohongshu and, especially digging more into content. I don't think we've done a workshop or a training where we dove so deeply into content. Of course, we could be here all day talking about content types, brainstorming ideas. So, if that's something you're interested in taking the next step, then do join us. We can't wait to have you inside with us and get started. And Thrivers, we can't wait to start working out that content strategy. My training will also be starting next week about strategizing and setting up those pillars that we talked about today.
Excellent.
Nancy has an interesting thing to share.
Oh,
I
I
would
would
love
love
to,
some
yeah.
classes about getting conversation started and not coming off as a creepy shark teacher.
Yeah, well, we have a resource for that actually called Scripts That Sell.
Yes, we
And that
actually do.
we'll probably be dropping that in the membership, to be honest, because eventually we'll be moving into the area of conversion. So that will definitely be available for our thrivers, our famous Scripts That Sell, which has been really helpful for our teachers, to be honest, to kind of like build that confidence in being more direct with sales.
Great. Awesome. 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 Alrighty. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your Friday wherever you are. And
Sure.
we will
And
see you inside of Teach to Thrive.
yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Shahanshi for Teachers, StreamYard. See you in Teach to Thrive. Dana, make sure you get it. See you in Teach to Thrive. Get your hands on that script. Awesome.
Alrighty. Take
All
care.
righty. Cool. Thank you guys. Take care. Have a good night. Great weekend, my dears. See you next time.
Bye.